As always, come here, check this out. I hope that you got a chance to see the last couple lessons where I taught you the anchor shape. Today what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to do some tapping with those. I'm actually going to break this up into two different lessons. One is going to be the anchor shapes with tapping. The next one I'm going to show you some shapes with inside the anchor shapes. And today we'll do some 3-note per string tapping. Actually kind of some 4-note per string tapping. And then next week or the next lesson we'll look at some 2-note shapes with inside of these anchor shapes and do some 3-note per string tapping with that. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, why not do the 2-note first, because that might be easier? And it probably is. But I showed you the anchor shapes already, so since you're already familiar with the anchor shapes, I want to go ahead and show you the 3-note per string first, 4-note per string if you include the right hand tapping finger, and then we'll show some shapes within those shapes in the next lesson. So first thing I want to do is show you how these lock together like puzzle pieces. We talked about that in the last lesson, where if I play on the 6th string and the 5th string at 5, 7, 8, and then I move to the 5th string and the 6th string, or go back to the 6th string and do the same thing, but this time I play 7, 8, 10. That little part where they lock in on the 7th fret and the 8th fret, we're going to go ahead and use that as our 3-note per string, and then the second shape we're going to go ahead and tap. So I'm going to play with my left hand. I'm going to play the first shape. I'm going to play the 5, the 7, and the 8. So that's all I'm going to do there. I'll play the 5, the 7, and the 8. But then what I'm going to do is with the second shape, where it locks together like that puzzle piece, since I'm playing the 7 and the 8 with my ring finger and my pinky, ring finger, pinky, ring finger, pinky, then I'm going to go ahead and look at that like, hey, that's the beginning of the second shape, right? But I'm not hitting the 10th fret. So I'm going to hit the 10th fret, you guessed it, with my tapping finger on my right hand. Which, the way that I tap, and this is something that you'll have to experiment with, but I usually like to use the middle finger on my right hand to tap so I can continue holding the pick. Now, not everybody does it that way. Some people will hold the pick in their mouth and they'll tap with their index finger. Some people are virtuosos and they'll tap with their index finger, their middle finger, their ring finger, their pinky. They'll even throw their thumb and their elbow in there if they can. So you got to do what works for you. I am comfortable with tapping with my middle finger on my right hand, and that's one of the things I'm working on doing. I don't know if I'll ever get to the point where I do multi-finger tapping with my right hand. It is a cool technique, but it's not something that I'm really wholeheartedly invested in. I may learn how to do it, I may not, but the main thing is to get that sound. One finger tapping is fine. So this is going to be similar to something like Hot for Teacher or some of the stuff that Eddie Van Halen does, or you'll hear it in a variety of other songs because lots of people copied Eddie Van Halen. But the bottom line is that this gets you across multiple strings. So think of this, instead of doing just single string tapping, we're doing multi-string tapping, which these 3-note per string shapes really help you do that. So we're going to tap on the 10th fret. So basically I'm playing this whole shape here, where I'm playing the 5, the 7, and the 8, 5, 7, 8, lock it into the 7, 8, 10, 7, 8, 10, but I'm not going to move my left hand up to that second shape. I'm just going to go ahead and tap on that 10th fret with my right hand. So we can think about it something like this at first, but I'll show you a couple different variations. So basically something as easy as that. So for instance, 5, 7, 8, 10, and then back to 8, 7, 5. Then to go up to the next string, to go up to the 5th string, I'm going to play the 7, the 8, and then go ahead and hammer on from nowhere onto the 5th fret of the 5th string. And then I'm going to go ahead and hammer on again, 7, 8, and then with my middle finger on my right hand, tapping that 10th fret, and flicking off, flicking off, flicking off, and then back to the 6th string. So it could be something as simple as So something as simple as that. Now there's all kinds of variations you can do there. You can go ahead and go from one string to the next without going back down and up the scale. So it could just be something as simple as playing 5, 7, 8 with my left hand, hammering onto the 10th, flicking off, and then going back to the left hand and playing 5, 7, 8 on the 5th string. Tapping on the 10th, flicking off, and then back to the 6th string. Now, I like to play all the way up and all the way back. That's just kind of how I gravitate towards it. So I like to go ahead and play 5, 7, 8, 10, flick off. Then with my left hand, pull off to the 7, pull off to the 5. Then I like to come back up. I like to come back up the scale. Play the 7, play the 8, then go to the 5th string. 5, 7, 8, tap, flick, 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 and then back down the scale on the 6th string, and back up. Now, of course, you can stay on one string for a long period of time, and then go to the next one. Stay on that string for a while. Do some Do Satriani stuff where you kind of pause. There's all kinds of stuff in there. You can also play with different variations. Like I can start with the hammer on, then go with my pinky to the 5th string on the 8th fret, and then hammer on with the middle finger of my right hand on the 10th fret. Lots of muscle confusion in there. I've talked about that in previous lessons where if you're not used to doing that, but if it's something you want to try, play around with. Or just coming up. Notice that on this one I have to move my index finger from the 5th fret on the 6th string. I come all the way up, 5, 7, 8, 10, then 8, 7, 5. And then right here I gotta hammer on to the 5th string. Little adjustment there, right? 5, 7, 8, 10, 8, 7, 5. Which I think is more traditional. But again, I gravitate back towards that coming up the scale, going down the scale, coming up the scale, going down the scale, which I think is the best sounding one myself. I mean, there are a lot of tappers out there. There's a lot of people doing this better than I do. But I love that sound of that. And that's really a cool way to do it because it allows you to basically play all the notes. See that? Going up the scale, 5, 7, 8, then back to the 5th string, 5. And then you can go ahead and tap wherever you want to. Like I could tap 5, 7, 8, 10, 8, 7, 5, 7, 8, to the 5th string, 5, 7, 8, 10. 8, 7, 5, then to the 6th string where I'm playing here, I'm about to go back down the scale. I hit the 8, but I go ahead and tap there, which gives you an interesting sound. Something like that. So there's all kinds of different variations in there. You just got to play with it. Play with what feels the best. I think I had somebody show me play from the 6th string to the 5th string where I play 5, 7, 8, tap, then pull off, pull off, pull off, and then from there jump to the 5th string. And I was looking for a bridge to get me from the 6th string to the 5th string. So playing legato up the scale, then to the 5th string. See, my index finger is free now, so I can go ahead and hammer on to that 5th fret of the 5th string. And then go ahead And that's something you got to get used to as well. You got to get used to being able to play those hammer-ons and those pull-offs. And one of the things I said in the previous lesson is those pull-offs are really flick-offs. You're really flicking off. You're not just lifting up. You're actually, I'm actually flicking the string, or I'm like basically picking it. I'm exaggerating here. But you got to get used to doing that. It's going to help your legato sound a lot better. But if you can go ahead and play the legato of that. And then you're adding in the tapping. Then it's going to sound a lot cleaner. And of course, getting this clean does take a little bit of time. Now, moving forward, we can go ahead and go to the octaves and do the exact same thing. I'm not going to show you all the different variations of the octaves, but the next octave will be on the 4th and the 3rd strings at your 7, 9, 10. And then of course we're going to tap on the 12. Do the same thing there, get used to that legato sound. I got to work on that one. So going from 7, 9, 10, then to the 3rd string, 7, 9, 10, then back to the 9, the 7, flicking off. Then going from there with my pinky hammering onto the 10, on the 4th string, to the 9, to the 7, and then back up the scale. And then tapping on the 12. Tap. Then back down the scale, then back up the scale without the tap, then up the scale on the 3rd string, tap, then back down the scale, and then back down the scale all the way to the 4th string and the 7th fret. And then of course at the 10th fret, 12th fret, 13th fret on the 2nd and the 1st string, again getting used to that legato. Make sure you're flicking off, right? And then, of course, tapping on the 15th fret. Doing the same thing there. We're playing 10, 12, 13, tapping to the 15, pulling off to the 13, the 12, and the 10, then back to the 12, the 13, then going to the next shape on the 1st string. We're playing the 10, the 12, the 13, tapping to the 13, so tapping on the 15, to the 13, to the 12, to the 10, then with my pinky, back to the 13, back to the 12, back to the 10, and just repeat the cycle. And that's it. And then of course, if you can get used to doing that across the octaves, you can go ahead and play some really cool tapping shapes all the way up the fretboard. And that is a little difficult, but that's a good shape to practice because there is a difficulty level there. Not something that I would normally do, but as I was playing with it, I was like, hey, this is pretty difficult. This would make a great exercise to get your fingers moving up and down those octaves. But there's an easier way to connect this. After I play that 5, 7, 8, 10, right, I can go ahead and move my left hand down to that 2nd shape where I'm playing the 7, 8, 10. And the way the scales work, and there's a couple ways we can look at this. One is we can just do legato. I can go ahead and play that 7, 8, 10, and go to the 5th string, 7, 8, 10, and then I'm in the next box when I go to the 4th and the 3rd strings, it's 7, 9, 10, where I can do my tapping. So I can go ahead and run the whole scale like this. Then move up And I'll show you how to do the same thing on the octave in just a second. But basically going from the first octave to the second octave, I'm using my anchor shapes to move into the second octave. Right there, you see how I moved up? There's all kinds of cool stuff in there where you can go from that first shape to the second shape. And then after that, you're in that first shape on the fourth and the third strings in your second octave. Right? So we can go ahead and tap. Then move up. Then go ahead and play the fifth string and the fourth string, where I'm playing the 7, the 9, and the 10. Now I'm going to tap on the 12. Now the third string, 7, 9, 10, tap on the 12. Instead of having to jump from here to, I'm going to go ahead and just move up that scale shape, going to the sixth string and the fifth string at 7, 8, 10, which is going to allow me to walk up to that octave shape. And this is going to allow me to do that. But I can also tap on the 12th fret all the way across, even on the 6th and the 5th strings, because it fits in with the scale. So I could go ahead and play that second shape on the 6th and the 5th strings at the 7, 8, and 10, and tap on the 12th. Then back to the 10, the 8, the 7, come back up to the 8, the 10, then go to the 5th string, to the 7, the 8, the 10, the 12. Now from here, I can go down the scale to the 10, the 8, the 7, come back up to the 8, the 7, and then jump into that second octave where I'm going to play across the fourth and the third strings on the 7, the 9, the 10, the 12. And then the third string, 7, 9, 10, the 12. So you got the whole thing there, which is actually your Locrian shape is really what it is. But again, this is all hovering back to A minor. So we're playing on the sixth string, we're playing 7, 8, 10, fifth string, 7, 8, 10, fourth string and third string, 7, 9, 10, 7, 9, 10, and you can tap across the 12th string. And that gives you all kinds of cool stuff you can do there. Then of course you can link it the same way to the next octave on the fourth and the third strings. 7, 9, 10, so 9, 10, 12. Now I can go ahead and use that 9, 10, 12 just to legato in to the second and the first strings on the 10th, the 12th, and the 13th frets. And then when I get to the second and the first strings on the 10, the 12, and 13, I can tap on the 14 like we did before. Just legato up to the second and the third strings, to the 10th, the 12th, and the 13th, 10th, 12th, 13th, and then we're going to tap on that 15th like we did before. So that right there allows me to move all the way up to the second and the first strings. But I can also tap on the 14th fret, in this case on the fourth and the third strings, because of the way the second string is tuned. We're going to go ahead and have to move back one, so we're going to tap on the fourth and the third strings of the 14th fret, and then when I get to the second and the first strings, it'll be the 15th fret. So we can go ahead and tap there, playing the fourth string at the 9, the 10, and the 12, tapping on the 14th, coming up the scale, third string, same thing, tapping on the 14th, and then of course we can transition there, going to the second string, got to bump up a little bit, but we're going to go ahead and go to the second string on the 10, 12, 13, and then tap that 15. Then of course I flub there, but it creates all kinds of cool dynamics, right? You can go all the way up and all the way back. Look at that right there. One that I didn't show you, but tapping on the first and the second at 12, 13, 15, 17. So you can go all the way up, all the way back. It's really cool. Takes a minute to get it clean. Play with it, practice with it, put it into your muscle memory. I'll be honest with you, I couldn't do that a year ago. So it's still something new to me. It's still something I'm working on. But I have progressed a lot, and that's what I want to help you do as well, as always. Hey, I hope I gave you something to think about in this lesson. I hope that tapping is something that is on your radar and that you're playing with it. I have never really been big into tapping, especially that multi-string tapping going all the way across. Sweep picking is also kind of new to me. These are things I'm picking up within the past year. I'm really trying to put a lot of that stuff in my vocabulary. So when I started learning this, probably about a year and a half ago, I could barely play anything like that. I understood the anchor shapes, I understood the scale positions and where to play things that I wanted to play and move my hands around the fretboard the way that I wanted to, but this hand needed training. And I'm about a year, maybe a little bit more than a year in to playing these kinds of different shapes and learning this kind of different stuff. And I've come a long way. So I probably do sound sloppy. I get that. I'm also standing in my room with like 5 or 6 lights on me right now. I'm hot, I'm sweaty, and I'm doing my best to show you how to do these things and explain everything to you and try to remember, is that the 5th fret or is that oh, that's the 5, the 7, and the 8. And I probably called it the 7, 8, and 10 at some point in the lesson. So that's what I want you to understand, is that when you practice, you got 1,000 distractions around you. You're going to make mistakes, okay? So the idea is to practice with fidelity in a comfortable space. It's good to stand up and play, but you still want to be comfortable. Now, why I say it's good to stand up and play, because you might want to get on stage one day. If you want to get on stage one day, you're going to be standing up. So, you know, it's the ideal, right? The ideal is to actually get up there and put on your, best, performance face and, actually, jam out with these things and be able to play really cool stuff and walk away from that and go, man, that set was great. And you got the endorphins going, you got the adrenaline pumping, and just feels good, right? And then you watch the tape back a couple of days later because somebody filmed you and you realize, oh man, I hit that wrong note, right? And that hopefully will push you to practice even harder and make sure you can play these things even better. So keep practicing, keep playing. I'd like to know for effects, what kind of effects do you like to use? I'm pretty simple: chorus, delay, a little bit of reverb, distortion. But there's a lot of people out there who are using tremolo pedals and whammy pedals and all kinds of cool stuff. I do have a wah as well, but I don't really use too much. I'm kind of minimalist when it comes to that. And of course, in the digital age, you can have any effect you want at your fingertips or at your feet, right, if you want it. But what effects do you like, or what's your favorite effect that you use? Tell me in the comments that. And don't forget to get my free course at justpickuptheguitarandgo.com. 7-day free course, help you unlock the fretboard, play with ease and confidence, and unlock these shapes so that you can just play up and down the fretboard, train your fingers to go where you want them to go, and just play how you want to. And as the name says, just pick up the guitar and go.com. So check that out, 7-day free course. And I appreciate you watching this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. I'll see you in the next one.